Good evening and welcome to Paranormal Files Into the Darkness. Tonight I have Maxim Furek, author. We're going to dive and friend. We're going to dive right in to see how he's doing, what he's been up to. I know he has 2 new books and several other ones that are all interesting. So Maxim, welcome.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. It's been a while, but thanks for the invite. And as I was telling you earlier, I'm really excited about the latest issue of Strange Knox magazine. Like I said, I think you hit it out of the park. I mean, it's very diverse. You seem to have a little bit of everything there, and very nice, slick, glossy, well put together publication. So again, I hope that the listeners out there who haven't heard of Strange Knox, please check it out. And I guess, Michael, you could tell them how they can get it, but it's just a wonderful publication, and and it's homegrown. It's not Madison Avenue or Chicago or San Francisco. It's it's our hometown, USA, and regular people putting this together. So I'm just grateful to be a part of it. Playing a little part of it. Contributing some articles, but it's just I think it's a great publication, and I'm proud to be associated with it. So.
We appreciate that. And by the way, that was unsolicited. We always like Maxim and his support for that. But yes, I have it up. Strange Knox Magazine's on our website, strangeknoxmagazine.com or strangeknox.com. I'm sorry. Also, get a hold of us on Facebook. Got Knockers on Facebook. Gotknockers.org is our website. It's $15 an issue or $50 a year. And I'll let Maxim, when you think of magazine, Maxim, what was your first impression? Let me go back up. Maxim writes for us as well. And my wife puts this together. She's the editor and creator, has a great collaboration with everybody who writes, Maxim included. But I'm going to ask Maxim, what's your take? When you think of a magazine, and I want people to, when you're viewing this, like Maxim said, it talks about everything, paranormal, cryptids, anything. And you think of magazine, you think of a flimsy People magazine you get in a grocery store. These are not flimsy. These are thick. These are almost like books.
Yeah.
If you could,
Well, let me say this. I have a lifetime subscription to Rolling Stone magazine. I got it for $99, a while back. But anyway, they stopped printing the actual physical print issue. Now it's all online. So a lot of magazines are going just online. A lot of newspapers are either going defunct or are going online. I'm glad that Strange Knox is a traditional magazine, and it's expensive. I can only imagine what it cost you to put out one issue, because it's slick. It's it's a physical thing. It's well done. It's a lot of colors. And again, I just like the way Gwen put it together, and stories about abductions and Bigfoot, dark DNA, article on the Schmerl haunting, which took place right in our backyard, and just a whole lot of things. So if you're interested into the paranormal, which is a diverse realm, then you need to check out Strange Knox magazine. Or if you're a writer or have something to contribute, I'm sure that they would consider your article. So
absolutely, definitely. And I would say just send an email to my email, carc.mpurcell@gmail.com. My wife, definitely looks. She got some new writers too, and that's to give Maxim, who's writing books. He's got to have some time for his own stuff, let alone to throw an article together. We appreciate when anyone does write an article. And if you have any articles you'd like to submit, or you want to get involved, and like you were saying, expense, we lose a little bit of money because what they charge us to print those, and then we use, the shipping costs now kind of rise, and we don't charge shipping. That $50 is just for it's a quarterly magazine. And so it's 4 magazines. So you save $10 versus buying an individual. And we just came out with our first edition for the second year. Just came out in January, towards the middle of late January. So they're already in the mail. Again, you could buy any one of those magazines or a subscription. How a subscription would work. January is already out. You order it now. You could either choose to take January and then be here for the year or wait for the next one to come out or however. But we're pretty flexible. And
and there it is. So
oh yeah,
very good. Okay, great.
yes.
One
And how about you? You have a book. You're gonna writing a book
about the publishing world. I just had a feature article in the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, second largest newspaper in Pennsylvania, circulation of about 83,000. And that's good. I mean, like, I'm excited. I'm thrilled. I got all these people from Western Pennsylvania, from Pittsburgh, calling me and emailing me and say, hey, I saw the article, So it's just great to be able to talk about the paranormal, as a rational human being, not as a crazy zealot. So I'm glad that happened. But let me say this. The Pittsburgh Post-Gazette is on the ropes. They're dying. Their last issue will be, I think, in May of 2026. And unless they find a buyer, they are defunct. Now, that is terrible, but that seems to be what's happening in the realm of newspapers. And even back home, Mike, with the Sun, I'm trying to think what they're called, but the Citizens Voice in Wilkes-Barre, the Hazleton Standard Speaker, the Republican Herald in Pottsville, and the Scranton Times, all four of them under the same umbrella. They've been bought by a conglomerate who's now trying to sell them just to make money. So it's an investment, but we may be losing some newspapers back home in our backyard. So that's sad. It's sad, whenever there's fewer places where you can get your information. So as a former newspaper guy, I mean, when I heard about the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, I really just
I can't believe in a circulation of 83,000 they're hurting. Because you say that, I worked for the news item in Shamokin as assistant circulation director, and I think our numbers declined before I left, and now I guess what when you think about newspapers and the decline, you're talking about there's a bunch of factors. One, the price to print. So, of course, the price goes up. Second of all, lifestyles. You think about back in the 90s, I started working there in 91. You think about the 90s, people didn't have the internet. You didn't have all this, hustle. People still went places, but you had the newspaper for when you came home. Either it was an evening newspaper or we eventually switched to a morning newspaper, which for us, that we lost all the majority of our youth carriers. And I started as a newspaper carrier when I was 11, because where else can you get a job making a couple dollars at 11 years old if you were ambitious enough to want to go out and work in the rain, in the snow, all that good stuff. But so you have the decline of the carriers. I think my parents still got one of the I think they get the daily item. The daily item doesn't even get delivered; it gets mailed. So today's newspaper doesn't get to them until like tomorrow or so. So who wants to read a day-old newspaper?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. I like to pick up the paper and read it with a cup of coffee. I mean, it's like one of my pleasures. I just find I go into the lanai, the Florida room. We got these Florida rooms down here, and just sitting there and drink my coffee and read the news. So, but the thing I want to say too about strange knocks, and again, nobody told me to say this, but it's sort of like you're taking a time machine into the past, because physical, slick, glossy magazines like Strange Knocks are, from yesterday. I mean, if you can keep that solvent, keep it going, then we have something here. We have a winner. So, I mean, I'm going to do everything I can to spread the word, because it's a great thing and it's in our backyard, and, we have to support it. So it's a simple.
I appreciate it. And you are one of our biggest promoters and fans. I love it. I'm putting it up here too, because another thing too is that to keep the costs down. And so, like when Gwen did the first magazine and she was looking, and then we were looking to get, and print it again. I made the suggestion: should we, tone it down a little bit, make it not so thick? I mean, not make it flimsy. She absolutely said no. So, I mean, if anybody out there watching has a business or some online stuff or anything you want to sell, you could online. I mean, you could, and you want to advertise. I mean, our prices are not crazy. We could get you a list of prices. We do the quarter page, we do the half page, we do the full page. I mean, I don't know. That's my wife's business. So I don't want to throw out prices, but I know she was running where it was like ridiculous. Don't quote me on these, but I wanted to say like 100 or 150 for a quarter page for the whole 4 magazines, and then it was like 200 or something, or like 250 for a full page. I mean, if you think about a full page ad, that's 4 full pages for $250. It comes out to like what, $65, if that, an ad. So I mean, if we still have the special going, I mean, you want to advertise in the magazine, always looking for ads. So yeah.
But you're right, the prices are ridiculous, and
then of course the mail's ridiculous. You get the price goes up, and things and quality of the delivery goes down. I remember when we first started, there was a woman in Roswell, New Mexico that signed up for the magazine. Oh, cool. And the first magazine went out. Now, she clearly had the label like everywhere else. You can't mail anything if you don't have a return, right? Return here, address for the person here. It got returned to us 3 times.
Wow.
It's like, wait a minute. It took like the 4th time to go out to this woman, and she finally got it. But I'm like, who's working in the post office that can't read? It's not coming to us. It's going to New Mexico. But 3 times it was returned to us.
See, nobody knows about what's happening behind the scenes,
Yeah.
It's business that you're in, right?
Yep. So, and then there is a gentleman at our local Sunbury post office that really is knowledgeable. And like anything else, you get somebody, even our mailman here. We're in the rural area. I know when he's not on. Our mail's not here. Our mail, like stuff that's that they deliver from Amazon. I'm not trying to bash the post office. I'm just saying, like anything else, take a little pride in your work. I mean, especially if you're in something where it reflects on you. I mean, you could tell. Like I know, like we don't get packages, or we're in like those little pigeon coop boxes. Sometimes I won't even get a key for a package that says it was delivered. It's like,
everything changes. The hardest thing we do as human beings is adapt to those changes, and they're hard. So anyway, but so that was Sunday that I was in the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, and that was a pretty big thing for me. So I was just excited, and
that is huge. That is nice.
It was huge. Yeah, I mean, I've been trying to get into there, but that happened. So anyway, other than that, like you said, last year I had 2 books published. One was The Schmerl Haunting, and then the other one was Paranormal Apocalypse. Is This How It Ends? And they were both, I think they're both timely, and and doing well. So I'm really excited about that. And the Schmerl Haunting, of course, that took place in West Pittston, Pennsylvania. That's our backyard.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Infamous haunting that September 5th of 2025, Conjuring Last Rites came out, and that was about West Pittston haunting, and that was my book that came out months before the movie came out. So
that's great.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, I'm really pleased. It's we're doing well with that, and there's the book, and there's my picture of Ed and Lorraine. I met them in Thorpe, Pennsylvania, in 1988, and stayed friends with them over the years. But they were great people. I mean, I know a lot of people don't like them for a whole bunch of reasons, but they treated me pretty good. They treated me righteously. They mentored me. I like them. They like me. So but I met them when they were on a 15-city book tour in Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania, and that was some nice memories there.
Nice location too. I mean, that's a historic town. You had
and about the jail.
Yes, the hand.
Yeah, the hand. Yeah, and
if anybody's near Jim Thorpe, PA, and you have a chance to get there, it is definitely like a little German. It looks Germantown, and you go in the fall. Anytime's good, but the fall and take the train ride. And go to the jail. It was a Molly Maguire that swore his innocence and had his hand on it's concrete, and it indented it, and to this day it's still there.
Yeah, they can't paint over it or anything. He said it'll go away when they prove that he was innocent.
Oh yeah,
that was his thing. Yeah, so
that's the thing. Yeah, wow.
But and then there was another Molly Maguire Centralia, the Molly Maguires beat up the Irish Catholic priest, and he put a curse on the town. He said that at the end of the day, the only thing left will be St. Ignatius Church. And in 1962 or 63, they were having a festival. They threw all this trash down a coal pit, and the anthracite coal sparked. To this day, it's still burning. It's like a road to hell. And there's maybe 5 people that still live there in Centralia. So that's the curse.
I didn't know there was a curse. I did not know that. That is very interesting. I mean, I'm a fan. I mean, of course, living 15, 20 minutes from Centralia. Again, and I think they also made a movie in a roundabout way about Centralia. I forget what
Silent Hill.
Silent Hill, yes.
Yeah.
Roundabout way on Centralia. So check out Centralia. And like Maxim said, I mean, it was a thriving town in the 60s, and they used to burn the trash. Well, they put it on and from what I understand, it is the biggest vein of anthracite coal in Pennsylvania. And I know people are probably, if you watch this, you're going to be like, well, why didn't they dump water on it? They did. Lots of water. They still couldn't put it out. Some streets start to subside from the heat and everything. So they pretty much, the state came in, I want to say in the 80s then. And,
I think you're right.
Offered the families money, like they're buying your house and what I understand back then, because I was probably only in my late teens, early 20. I don't think I hit the 90s. I think it was in the 80s. So I was in my late teens, and they offered them a good bit of money to move, and only a handful of people actually stayed. So, and with the understanding that when those folks die, that's it. The family doesn't get any. The state will take those houses. The family has no right to the houses.
Right. Eminent domain.
Yeah. So it's interesting to see when you're driving through it, and on a nice clear day, you'll see the sulfur smoke come up through the ground, and it's amazing. It hasn't gone like down towards the back of Ashland or out towards Mount Carmel or up towards Aristus or out to Ringtown.
All those towns. Yeah.
It is on a big vein. So obviously, I mean, after 60 years-ish of burning, and it's getting oxygen. That's another thing too. People are like, well, smother it. Well, as the ground subsides, it creates the oxygen to make the burn, because if you didn't have oxygen, it would have burned out.
Yeah. And then the crazy thing that happened, that roadway, I think it was 61, it buckled, and the steam was coming through it. So what they had to do is they had to reroute it and have a new 61, and the old one, the kids would go there and start spray paint, like penises.
Everything, graffiti highway,
and that was graffiti highway, and the kids would every time I went there, I saw a bunch of college kids from Philadelphia every single time. And then I wrote a letter to Dave Millard, and I don't know if Dave's listening, but Dave was a representative from the area, and he was also in charge of the Pennsylvania, I want to say, tourism group or recreation group. And I wrote him a letter saying, why don't you go and invest in Centralia and have dune buggies and everything, and just take people for rides around there on graffiti highway, and just show them that. I mean, that way you can make some money. There'll be there won't be any liability and everything. And it was a great letter, but Dave never came through on that. And I think the Commonwealth missed an opportunity there. We could have capitalized on this, and we could have maintained it, for its cultural relevance, but we didn't. We just put tons of dirt on top of the.
Yeah, that was only within the last 10 years, maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
I think people in this area, Shamokin, Mount Carmel, Sunbury, back in the heyday, these were anywhere in Pennsylvania, these small towns back in the 50s and everything, they were booming. I mean, you had trains, we don't have infrastructure here. Like, I think Uber might just be coming into the Shamokin area in the last year or two. But, and that's to say we're not a big area, but I mean, back in the day, it was a nice area. So you had people. Where I'm going with that is I don't think these people back in the 50s had the vision of 2026. They lived in the moment, because like things shut down and nothing. Like, I mean, I said this. There was no reason, like the trains used to come to Danville, Sunbury had a train station. I think Shamokin, the post office now used to be a train station. There was no reason why Amtrak can't, or like somebody, like, and I always say somebody, it's our Congress, our representatives, why they can't get Amtrak to come up this way and then open this area to Harrisburg and Lancaster, Philadelphia, New Jersey, New York. I did the train from Harrisburg, and I get people will probably watch this and be like, well, why don't you just drive to Harrisburg? I do, but there's people that don't. Maybe somebody who's young that doesn't want to drive. There's elderly, maybe they'd like to go see a family member in New York. Well, I don't want to drive to Harrisburg to jump on a train if I could just stay in my town and pick up a train. But I'm going with that as the highway, like you said. I didn't frequent it that often, but when you would drive through, there would be a lot. There'd be hundreds. I'd say, I'm not saying like thousands, but there'd be like under 100 people at one given weekend, if not a little more, that would be out there exploring the ground, because there's still one or two cemeteries still there with the graves. They haven't been relocated.
And where is it? In Centralia?
Centralia, yeah. So people would be exploring the mountains and of course graffiti highway, and then they would paint it. But I think, and it was funny when you first said how it buckled. I remember traveling from Shamokin to Penn State Schuylkill campus when I graduated in '89, and I didn't live on campus, so I drove. And I remember in my little '85 Ford Escort, I would like gun it, because as soon as you came out, I swear the car lifted up in the air and then came back down. And then they would pave it, and then it would buckle again. They would pave it, and I think, like you said, and then here's something too. It's interesting that the upper road is buckled, but that little road, it's only a 2-lane road under like maybe a couple 100 feet down below that mountain is not touched. Because if you think about it, if there's something with that road, there would be no way to get from Shamokin on. I think that's 32 or 42, because it's 61 and 42, because 42 takes you to Bloomsburg, and there would be no way to get from there to Ashland unless you went down to the bottom of the hill and came out in the back of Ashland. But I would always hit the gas and kind of hit that. And then I never did any of the graffiti, because I could barely write my name with paint. I'm not an artist. I could barely handwrite stuff. But it wasn't all vulgar. There was things there too, and it was colorful, like the picture I've seen of it. So like, why would you go ahead and cover that up? Because like you said, missed the mark. That brought, and you said about bringing kids from Philadelphia, it brought people from all over the area and different states into our little area. You have the AAOA that's been here for 10 or 12 years now, that they gave the land outside of Shamokin and for 4-wheelers. And since that opened, you always see 4-wheelers from New York, New Jersey, Maryland, local people as well. So it's a way to try to like bring in something to our little area. And then when they're here, they have food, some unique food. You got Knoebels Amusement Park. So if you want to, you could bring your family. You and a friend could go to the AAOA, and your family could go to Knoebels. It's free admission, free parking. Where do you get? And I'm talking a full-on amusement park like Hershey, like Dorney,
and it's free.
It's free. Yeah, you buy tickets, and the thing about the ticket, and I'm not getting paid from Knoebels, but this is like a sponsor for them. Knoebels, you go and buy a $20 pack of tickets. Now that's only going to get you like 3 rides, because rides are expensive, like $4, $3. Depends on what ride you're going on. Roller coasters are a little more expensive. But they've had the award-winning Phoenix. Numerous.
That's great.
As the #1 wooden roller coaster. So you buy these tickets. So you take a family, you buy $100, $200 worth of tickets, and then when you leave, whatever tickets you have, you can come back. Your kids can come back. Your grandkids can come back. Those tickets don't expire. Where do you find stuff like that? It's usually like once you leave the park, it's gone.
Now, I'll say this, with you're talking about the amusement parks, but for the folks listening, if you're outside of the area of the northeastern and north central Pennsylvania, you got to do yourself a favor and come down here to Shamokin and Shenandoah and some of the old coal towns. It's like going back in time. I mean, it's pretty bizarre. I mean, it's really neat. I wish they could do more to preserve that, but that costs money too, to preserve those breakers and everything. But
Yeah.
you know,
Oh, and
anyway,
speaking of breakers, Ashland also has the mine tour, which was a working mine, the Ashland Mine Tour. You know, I remember first time going there as a kid in like 5th grade, and it was like in the summer, like late early spring when we went there, and it was fun because it was cold underground.
yeah, sure.
It's like
Yeah, and we also did that when we did that. What's the one? Number 9 in Langsford, number 9 coal mine. And when we were down there, they told us about the 5-year-old breaker boy. We had young kids that went down into the mines. They were breaker boys, and they did some of the most dangerous things. A lot of times they got either killed or crippled, but there was one young kid, he was 5 years old, his father died, and he had to go down there as the provider for the family in order for them to keep their house. And I'll say this, it was horrible what we did, not just in Pennsylvania, but all over the place. But the laws protecting animals came about in America before we had laws protecting children. And come on, that's like totally wrong. They got that backwards. So, but anyway, but I love our region, and that's why a lot of the books that I write are regional books, like Co-Region Hoodoo, like the Squirrel Haunting. I mean, just because we have a story to tell. And Mike, to anticipate you asking me why I do this, I get this question all the time. But the reason I started to write about our area, not just that I have a great love and affinity for our area, but also I was angry that most of the paranormal books out there about Pennsylvania are about the ghost in Gettysburg or the Lancaster hex signs and white witches. And I'm thinking, wait a second, we got a lot more stuff in our backyard than you do, and I'm going to write about it. And, and Co-Region Hoodoo talked about Night of the Living Dead, The Blob, and Philadelphia Experiment, 3 classic sci-fi horror movies that that are from Pennsylvania, and again with Night of the Living Dead and 68, George Romero's. I mean, we kicked off that zombie trend. We did it here in Pennsylvania, Western Pennsylvania, where there's something in the water. I don't know what, but it's bizarre there with Bigfoot sightings. Yes. And as Stan Gordon has pointed out, I guess he was one of the first, that not only Bigfoot, but Bigfoot along with orbs or flying saucers, that combination. Yeah. And when I first heard that, I said, no, that makes no sense at all. That's totally fantasy. But then when you see some of Stan Gordon's books, with his documentation, I mean, like, he has some pretty impeccable documentation. And one thing that I did, back I'm from Luzerne County. I'm from Mackinac, but my neighbor, Joe, was driving through the cemetery there in Mackinac, and he saw not one but 2 Bigfoot creatures. One was tall as cinnamon, the other one was black. And I questioned him. I interrogated him. What did they look? How did they act? And he said that they didn't look like they were afraid. They looked like they were curious. They looked at him and then turned away and walked away like humans. And so we went up there and we looked for tracks and everything. And for 2 days, couldn't find anything. But then I called Stan Gordon. I said, Stan, I have something for you. So Stan called my buddy Joe and put it into his archives, listing me as the, I don't know what, the reporter or the witness or whatever. But anyway, Stan Gordon does a great service for us, because whenever the Pennsylvania State Police get a report about a flying saucer or a cryptid, they say, well, call Stan Gordon, and Stan will put it into his little, his documentation. And that's what he's been doing, and he's been doing it for years. And and who else? What other region has somebody like that? That's keeping all those records. So I mean, we're fortunate to have that. And by the same token too, when you think about our backyard, I mean, look at all the paranormal people that are stumbling over each other. And we got something going here, with your magazine and your expo, and with all the ghost hunting groups, and with the writers like myself and others. I mean, there's a nice little community there of paranormal minded people. I mean, come on, that got to be, that got to get a shout out. We're doing pretty good. So this isn't New Orleans. This
Nope.
is Shamokin, and boy, I mean, and I'll tell you what, for some young kid out there with a camera, you got to go to Shamokin and shoot a motion picture. I mean, that's just begging for it. It's just a great environment for that. So.
Oh yeah, and you got Mount Carmel, you got the other little area in Shenandoah. I mean, and then the unique food from up in Schuylkill County as well. I mean, each little town in this area. There's Gerardville. That's
I used to do that coal cracker run, and we would run down into the little valley. That was Gerardville. There's no air there, no oxygen. So you're down in this valley, and you go back. That was a hell of a course. That was always hot and nasty.
But no, I mean, it's just Schuylkill County. I mean, like the unique food that they have. They like their hot sauce with their pizzas, and Shamokin has Coney Island.
I've been there.
I mean, if you're here for a hot dog or a hamburger, again, I mean, it is a nice area. And then
back too.
What's that?
It's coming back too. There's a nice little renaissance in Shamokin. I mean, they're really putting some effort together to make it better and modernized and everything else.
I think it'll take a while. It'll take too. You got to get the new people in that are take a little pride in their homes. And I'm not knocking anybody, but you come into it's like you come into the area. You're from a bigger city. You come in here for the cheap living. And I don't mean disrespect when I say this, because I'm born and raised in Shamokin. I've seen it change. I mean, when I was growing up, I grew up in what they, until this day, still considered the Bloody Fifth. I mean, it was like the Italian section. And let me tell you, even in my early high school years, it was interesting. You didn't come into that part of town if you weren't, welcome. Not as far, or I shouldn't say that. I'm like the kids. Like if you were at a mountain party, don't dare just stumble upon a party that you weren't invited to. Things would get dicey. I mean, you come in, it's like you have nice, if people would just take a little pride, clean up their homes, clean up the trash, take a little, I think the two, and we could talk all night. I think what it is too is like there's no respect. There's no respect. There's no camaraderie. Like, maybe you're not feeling well today. And, these are row homes. I'm not talking about your neighbors like a half a mile down the road. You're literally 1/billionth of a millimeter. There's nothing that separates you. It's a row home. So, like, if, let's say, Maxim, you weren't feeling good today, I'd help you shovel your snow, clean something. I think we lose that with some of the people moving in. It's like they don't want to help their neighbor. They don't want to help. It's like, I know sometimes the people that live next to my parents, and even the former ones, my dad in his 70s would be, and they would be in their late 20s. I mean, it's only 2 squares of concrete, but he'd be shoveling their sidewalk. And I'd always be like, why? They should be doing yours. Only because you should respect your elders. There's no way a guy in his 70s should be out there shoveling snow, especially if it's like 3-4 inches. Under 3 inches, it's a quick push. And my dad, he's old school. He doesn't want help. Like even me, I'm 10 miles from him, and I'll find out from my sister. Did you hear Dad put the air conditioners in? No. Did you hear Dad took them out? No. I mean, the guy's going to be 84 years old in April, and he's lugging, he lives either in the basement or whatever. He's lugging air conditioners in and out of windows, for like an upstairs one and a downstairs one in the kitchen and the living room. And all, because instead of just saying, hey, how about coming after work? No, he has a bug up his ass. If like he wants that air conditioner in now, he's not calling me tonight going, hey, after work tomorrow, can you get it? Or during the day, hey, after work, after 5, can you come? Nope. He gets his butt up and does it. And it's like, I worry because like no one's getting younger. And
well, you're a good son. You should worry, We're talking about respect. I'm working on a new project. It's called the Scream of the Haunted House. And I'm taking a look at hauntings. I'm taking a look at ghost hunters, demonology, that whole thing. And when I talk to ghost hunters, I say, what's like misconceptions, or what's the most important thing ghost hunters need to do? And I'm hearing it's respect. have respect for the property, for the culture, for the history, have respect for the spirits, the ghosts that still remain there. And I mean, do you believe that? I mean, with that, respecting that premises is something that these people looking for ghosts should do.
Oh, absolutely. I think, yeah. Like, I mean, not all ghosts are evil.
Yeah.
Some are mischievous. Some just do little pranks. But I mean, yeah, definitely. I mean, uh, for one reason or another, and I've from doing a show and talking to other people who have way more experience in this. I was told, like, if you're an asshole in real life, you're going to be an asshole after in death.
Yeah,
Nothing's changed. So, like, you're going to get one. But no, I mean, definitely give them respect. I mean, like, they're there. They're there for a reason. I mean, and also doing a show. I mean, like, friend, she was just here Saturday, and she's a medium, and they stayed the night, and I came home from the hockey game, and she was telling me, like, you have a woman walking around the kitchen. I think that might be my Nana. My Nana might be with me, which is kind of strange because I don't talk about her much, but I forget which medium I had on. I can't, if it was her or somebody else, but I remember having her on my show. And, I mean, I know people are skeptic. I'm one of them. Like, I mean, I'll extend the respect and the stuff to you and the benefit of the doubt to you until you prove me where you don't get my respect or you're just shooting bullshit where you're not going to get my belief. But when my Nana died in 93, and I remember what I thought was only getting at her watch. Long story short, my sister, and over the years, like, I'm 93, I got married in 96, and I remember having this little red milk crate where I had her where I thought it was her watch, like my yearbooks and a couple other things. And from the moves, I lost it. And for the longest time, I'm like, man, it really. And then, like, I want to say like 10 years or more ago, my sister's like, you also have her necklace. I'm like, I don't have her necklace. I have her watch. I had her watch. I lost it. Now, it didn't work. I still got to get off my fat ass and take it to a jeweler because I literally like to get it fixed. Not that I want to wear it, but I want to get either a battery or whatever it takes. But and it's not like it's a Rolex. It's just sentimental, right? Which is priceless. So I want to say it was like last year. No, 20. Yeah, maybe 24, 23. Christmas of 23. No, Christmas of 24. I believe it was. My son comes over with a box. In the box are my yearbooks, all the stuff that I thought I lost, my Nana's watch, and lo and behold, and I'll show it because I have it right here. I leave it by my monitor, and it's really weird. I haven't opened it since that show, but it's a gold cross, long enough. Now, it's funny. You open this box, and the smell of her perfume is like strong, like somebody just sprayed it. Yeah. Now, the woman says to me, and I apologize, I can't remember who told me this, but we're talking like you and I, and she goes, "There's a woman standing behind you, talking with her hands." I'm like, "That's my Nana, Italian, talking with her hands." Yeah. My hands are on my desk, or I'd be going like this too. I'd be looking like jazz hands. Now, no one knew, only family, like my parents, my son, Gwen, my wife, she knew I had this and I lost it. My sister, I didn't post this on Facebook because it's nothing to post. I mean, like, posting it isn't going to get it back because I know it. So the woman stops and says, the woman wants you to either wear her necklace or put it in your wallet. And I damn near was like, what the fuck?
Wow.
And I'm getting chills now because I like stop. I'm like, excuse me? And now I literally just got this back like not even a month before, and it's sitting right under my. I have one of those iMacs, so I have a little wooden thing, and it sits right there. She's like, yeah, and I'm like, and it was after the show I opened it for the first time. Like, I didn't even open it when I got it. I just knew it was a necklace, and the smell of that perfume of hers was there. Yeah. And I actually tried on it.
You remember that, right, from her?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. So it is crazy. Like, I mean, like the community does have some really good people. I mean, you're gonna, you'll run into people who try to push an agenda like anywhere else. You'll get people who like right away it's a ghost, or right away it's an orb when it could be a moth or a piece of dust or something. But yeah, so our area is filled with like history as well. So and like good that you point that out, like not just Gettysburg and other.
Well, exactly, and and then somebody has to talk about it, and I'm just glad to do that. The Schmerl haunting.
Yes.
I've always felt that there was something that was I don't know, working through me or with me, like being channeled through me to write that book. And there were three things that I just wanted to mention. The one is that where I lived in Mackinac was relatively close to West Pittston, Pennsylvania, where the Schmerl haunting took place. And, Jack and Janet moved there after the Agnes flood of 72. And that was sort of like the red letter date. We all remember what that was and what that did to the whole region. I mean, it just was devastating. So they moved to West Pittston, this nice little tree-lined community. And then things started to happen around 1984, I guess, 85. And it started slowly, like knocks, smells, rooms that were really cold, even though they were hooked up to the heating vents and everything. And then they would have profanities etched into the mirrors, with the steam, or get out, things like that. And then it escalated to the point where Jack claimed that he had been raped by a succubus, a female demon. So that I went up there back in the 80s, and I would take pictures and hang in the background, interview the neighbors. I wouldn't talk to the Schmerls because they were pretty much under attack by demonic forces, by the paparazzi. Janet Schmerl talked about getting hundreds of phone calls from international reporters who wanted exclusive interviews with them. I mean, hundreds. And then, of course, the local people, not all of them that were, altruistic. Some of them thought that Jack and Janet Schmerl were just in it for the money. They were trying to make money. So that became the biggest thing. And thankfully, because they were Catholics, and they were people of strong faith, they had their church to go to for that support. I want to say this though. I mean, being very devout Christians and Catholics probably saved them. But the other thing too is having demonstrated that faith, I think, gave them a target on their back. I think the demon was going after them. They were a target because of their religious beliefs. And I've been asked, well, why the Schmerls? Why not anybody else that went to church there in West Pittston? And I don't know. I mean, I don't know how the devil thinks. I don't know how the devil dances. I'm not part of that, So, but it seems that was it. So that was the thing. I was there when it happened. And then in 1988, when Ed and Lorraine came up to Jim Thorpe, I had a chance to meet them, photograph them, stay in touch with them over the years. And then the third thing that was just pretty bizarre was this past July. It was July 11th, 2025, and we went to see Annabelle in Gettysburg. And I had a chance to meet Dan Rivera, and we're talking. And I told Dan that I'm writing a book about the Schmerl haunting, so he's giving me some information. And he was going to be back in Connecticut on July the 14th. So he agreed to do a phone interview with me on July the 14th. Here, Dan died the day before. He died on the Sunday. And the coroner said that he had cardiac issues and he died from a heart attack. But other people like Chris McConnell, Ed and Lorraine's grandson, other people like Suzanne and Jeannie Vincent, the psychic Vincent sisters from out in Butler, Pennsylvania, they believe that it was the demonic energies from Annabelle that somehow wore down Dan Rivera and eventually killed him. So that was their belief. And
I remember hearing him passing in. Yeah.
And then there was all the conjecture about what happened. So, but Lorraine always wanted Annabelle to be kept at the Warren Occult Museum in Monroe, Connecticut. She wanted to be kept there under lock and key. And they decided to do that. Devils on the Run tour 2025 where they took Annabelle and all these artifacts to San Antonio, New Orleans, the West Virginia Penitentiary, and then eventually Gettysburg. That's where I saw Annabelle. I'll say this too, if you're wondering why they took Annabelle on tour, and maybe on their website they might say, to satisfy our curiosity about the paranormal, that sounds good. But according to the Gettysburg Connection, I believe it was called, a local magazine, they counted 1,260 people that paid $40 each to see Annabelle during those 3 days. That's something, give or take $50,000, and not to count what they got in San Antonio, New Orleans. So the take was somewhere around $200,000, again, give or take. So, I'm thinking that the main driving force was financial, remuneration, and they certainly, and then so that's one thing. So they made money from this thing, but then even though going against Lorraine's mandate, her wishes to keep the artifacts there in the museum, now those people from the New England Society for Psychic Research sold or leased the artifacts to Matt Rife, the stand-up comic, for $1 million. For $1 million. So now we're going from bad to worse. I mean, I know he has an interest in the paranormal, but I mean, is he the right one to be responsible for all those mirrors and those entities that are allegedly infused with demonic energies? I mean, come on, none of this makes sense to me. I just think that there's some warning flags there, I mean, I'm just, I mean, what do you think about that? I mean, there's a lot of artifacts there that this stand-up comedian is now in charge of.
Again, I think it goes back to what you were saying about paranormals and respecting. I mean, you got to, whether it's an entity or a haunted object, I think you got to pay the respect. I mean, you can't just take it lightly. And I hope, I don't know him personally, maybe his persona as a comedian, but I would hope that he is definitely going to take his, he paid for this, take it responsible, because, I mean, and not take it lightly. I mean, yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Because didn't he also, or wasn't he in talks of buying the what house was he? Was it Anna Lorraine's or house that he was buying, or
that might have been it? Yeah, I don't think it was. It's not the Hinsdale house, because that's it's not the Conjuring house in Rhode Island.
There's another, because I did see he was supposed to be buying some haunted house location, and I can't remember what it is. And again, I'm thinking that's kind of interesting, that.
Well, we talk about this term. We talk about dark tourism, where people will pay money rather than going to see the Liberty Bell or the Statue of Liberty. They'll go to Alcatraz, or they'll go to Penhurst. To some of these places that are.
There's also what's the Crescent Sanatorium? I think they're coming back, and it's true. I mean, like Crescent Sanatorium, which is just outside of State College. They had a new owner who stopped the tours because they were, from what I understand, they want to bring them back, because there is people out there who, I mean, there's people out there who don't believe in the paranormal to begin with, and I'm like, I keep it open. Like, here, until I met Gwen, and we're only together almost just over 9 years, I always believed in the paranormal, and as far as Bigfoot, Sasquatches, it's like I've never seen them. I heard of them. I know what they are. But, I mean, I would have never guessed that there was, like, sightings in the Shamokin, Sunbury, Bloomsburg area, so because it's like it's a coal region. I mean, yes, we have our woods. But we don't have the vast of, like, the great Northwest of Washington State and Oregon. But I believe in the paranormal. I believe in things that, I mean, I've heard stories. I worked at Wenka Windows in Ringtown in my early 20s.
Ringtown Witch.
Yeah. Oh, see, I didn't know about that. But I worked with a woman whose grandmother died, and we were working, and she said the night her grandmother died, she appeared to her sister to say goodbye. Now, who am I to call her a liar? Or like when my nana were passing away, my mom and my aunt was in the kitchen and they heard her talking like I'm not ready, and all of a sudden it was like I'm ready, and then she passed. I mean, there's like my mom's not gonna lie, so like you know it just makes you wonder. Like there's gotta be something out there. Just like I'm gonna say this, and we got to be so naive that we are not the only living creatures in this vast multiple like universe, if not universes. Like we are just, yeah, we have intelligent people, but we don't. If we have, we're not going to other galaxies. We're not going to other universes. We can't make it past the moon with a human, you know.
Yeah.
And there's these, oh, there's no such thing as aliens. Well, okay, there's got to be something. There's just, there's unexplained things, and it's like if it blows my mind. So I keep my mind open, to look in the sky to see if there's something there. I mean, I remember years ago, I'm in my pool. It was the summer. There was no clouds in the sky. I watched this thing come out. There was no lights flashing. Off in the distance, it was going down, and then like all of a sudden, it just looked like it shot straight up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was, and I was like, "What was that?" Like there was no clouds. It was like right around dusk in the summer. I'm in the pool swimming, but you could see it, and it's like, do I ever see an alien? No. Do I want to? Maybe. I don't know if I want to get abducted. If they do, they can take, maybe take some body fat from me and, fatten up their people or their creatures and all their civilization from my body fat. Bring me back skinny, not dead skinny, but just skinny. But yeah.
My claim to fame was I'm a Vietnam vet, and I was a radar on aboard the USS Constellation aircraft carrier, and I saw flying saucers, UFOs. I mean, I saw them numerous times. They were solid, tangible. They were maneuverable. They were faster than any guided missile we had or the Russians had. And we saw them all the time, and we put them in our logbooks with, the range and bearing, and we would put down their UFOs. And then we were told to keep our mouth shut. Don't tell anybody what you saw. I mean, that was, and most of us were little kids. We were fighting this war. We were like under 20. I was like 17 when I joined. So, but anyway, I saw saucers. I believe, there's something there. Again, the Nimitz from, what is it, 2014, I believe, that video clip, the naval fighter pilots from the Nimitz shot this video of that like little TikTok thing that went back and forth, and then it hovered, and then when it went under the water. And so we started to talk about the UAPs that just weren't aerial, but they also went under the water. So that video, I think, was as important in ufology as, say, the Patterson-Gimlin film from '67 was to Bigfoot. The Sasquatch lookers, because I mean, I've read everything I could about the Patterson-Gimlin film. It's only 58 seconds long, and they were riding there. They wanted to do a documentary to make money to do an expedition to find Bigfoot. And here they go around the bend, and the horses buckle. And Patterson was in the lead, and he reached into the saddlebag to get the camera. And as he's falling, he's shooting, and he didn't think he got anything. And then they looked at it. And what's interesting is that you had people that believed and people that didn't believe, but there was a guy named John Napier. He was a British paleontologist. He was in charge of the Smithsonian, and they showed that Patterson-Gimlin film to him and a bunch of other scientists, including a bunch of Russians, who were always a lot more serious about Bigfoot investigations and explorations than their American counterparts. But anyway, Napier looked at this and he said, wait a second, this looks like they cobbled together. He thought it was a hoax. He thought that Patterson-Gimlin cobbled together two common elements, the top being the top of an ape and the bottom of a humanoid. So it was something that walked like a human, but it had like a ape top. And so on that those principles, those characteristics, Napier said it was a hoax. A couple of years later in Ethiopia, they discovered Lucy, that was the Australopithecus, and that was like a 4.5-foot man's earliest ancestor. They named it after the Beatles, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. And that night they got drunk, and everything. But when Napier heard about Lucy, he said, wait a second, I've been wrong all these years. He goes, it was all the 2 years, because Lucy had the upper body of an ape with the long arms that could go and, brachiate, and also was legs like a hominid. It walked like a human. So there it was, so Napier, when science came full circle, when science finally provided us with some ammunition and some evidence, the problem we have with Bigfoot and UFO and everything else is that the scientific community a lot of times is too elitist to go and meet us on common ground and say, okay, with Bigfoot, we don't have a carcass and we don't have DNA, but we have all of the things that that J. Allen Hynek would call levels of high strangeness. We have the smells, we have the witnesses, we have the wood structures, we have the wood knocks, we have the language, that sound that, no animal is going to make. So and also it goes even deeper, that some people feel that Bigfoot communicates telepathically. So if we have evidence, it's not evidence that the scientific community will accept as irrefutable, but still, nonetheless, it's something that we shouldn't ignore, because there's something there. So I think that we do this because we're fascinated by the unknown, all the things, the paranormal stuff that's outside the realm of science. And I remember years ago, maybe around 1980, when I talked to Dr. Frederick Santee, the White Witch. He was the high priest for the Coven of the Kata up there in Wapwallopen. And Frederick Santee, Dr. Santee said, there's no difference between the supernatural and the scientific. He goes, they're all one and the same. We just have to look for the cause and effect. Like with Newton's theory of gravity, you see the apple fall. So, you see it falling, and that's the effect, but the cause is the gravity, it falls because of gravity. So we see everything else, like orbs, whatever these things are, these supernatural things are, but we don't know what the scientific cause is. It's out there. We may find them, or maybe not, or maybe it's just really out there and really into the paranormal realm, that it's so deep that it's just totally disconnected from, our scientific, knowledge. So that could be true too. But anyway, I study this and research it because I'm just fascinated by all of it, and I just would like to figure it out. So I'm, I consider myself a skeptic, but I believe in the paranormal. I just want to find out. I'm like on X-Files. I just want to believe. I just want to find some of the truth. So,
and I think it's hard for people like me. I don't have any skills. Now, I had a guest on who said everybody has it. You just have to learn to hone in. I don't I don't have any way. I would love to be able to communicate. I would love to be able to see something, or be able to say, yeah, somebody's standing here, or, and stuff like that. But I don't. So I think it's hard for the majority of the people who don't have those skills to be like, I don't say. But and it's funny because our friend that was here on Saturday also, Ponduse Farms. I don't know if you're familiar. It's over outside of Bear Gap, between Bear Gap and New Media.
Okay.
We went to breakfast the one morning, and we were sitting. It was Gwen, her boyfriend, and another friend of ours, and we were sitting it's a very small area. Like you walk in, there's a couple tables, and then you got like the meats and the stuff that you can buy, and then you could go into the small back room. And we were sitting there, and she's like, there's an older woman sitting in the corner just watching. And I looked, and I was like, that's wild. She's just here just making sure everything's okay. So when we were leaving, I said to our waitress, I said, I got to ask. I said, has anybody ever said about it, a woman sitting in the corner back there. And she immediately went running back because she thought I meant like a actual patron. So she went back. She looked in the corner. She looked at me. I said, "What?" She looked at me. I'm like, "Did you?" I said, "No, I wasn't referring to a live person." She's like, "Oh." And I said, "Was there?" She's like, "Well, we've been told." And then she went to use the ladies' room, opened up the ladies' room. She's like, "Well, these are I forget the family. There was a picture of like all the families, like females." And my friend told the girl it was this one right here. And we went back. Gwen and I went back for breakfast, and turns out they are aware it is a family member that is there because they have a friend that's like investigates. Because she asked if we'd be able to investigate, and they have people that friends. But no, I just think it's interesting. I think that's a problem. Like everybody, and I'll say about ghosts. I'll say this about Bigfoot, like and Sasquatches and any other cryptids. If there's validity in it, like you got footprints, you got some blurry pictures, you got accounts of people. There's got to be some truth. Not everybody is lying. There could be people that do lie, but if like you take your investigation serious, like your paranormal, your cryptid investigations, you don't get benefit anything about lying because all that's going to do is discredit you. You're going to lose any kind of respect that you're trying to get, and then the end game is you're just a fraud. But it's like I say this, like you believe it. If you believe in a God, you believe in because this is what you were told either in a Bible or like I went to Catholic school, so I was told there's like I never saw Jesus, I never saw God, I never saw Mary, but I believe in a higher power. But yet so why is that so far-fetched for people to think that there isn't this creature out there and not really meaning any harm? Like I think they're more. I feel like they're here just to be like a keeper, they watch over.
Bigfoot typically, there was a nice article in the New York Post or something years ago about the guy said that, Bigfoot typically is very boring. I mean, they're not dramatic. I mean, you could pretty much anticipate how they're going to act. They look curious and then they go away. They're elusive, but there's only been 2 episodes of attack or killings by Bigfoot. We had the Ape Canyon where they attacked the cabin, and then the other one was with Teddy Roosevelt. That he was in Montana, and one of his fellow hunters was killed by this shaggy-looking creature that Teddy Roosevelt described like a Bigfoot. So again, that's the only 2 accounts. The one back home, you probably know Craig Long from Catawissa, the district magistrate. And Craig Long used to be the sheriff there in Catawissa. And he told me about the time that somebody called him, this older guy called him about 11 o'clock at night. Guy's letting his dog out to take a pee for the end of the night. And here this guy sees this 11-foot creature, a Bigfoot creature. So Craig Long shows up, and the guy says, I wasn't afraid. And Craig says, well, why not? And he goes, because the creature had kind eyes. Kind eyes. I mean, amazing. And then a lot of other people say that Bigfoot doesn't reflect eyes, but it emits eyes. So you have that, and that Bigfoot doesn't walk, it glides. And it has rapid transport, by location that you see it in front of you and then behind you. Just a lot of stuff, a lot of really weird stuff. And you get into the guys that actually claim that Bigfoot is the teacher, that they're the students, that Bigfoot gives them gifts, that Bigfoot communicates with them telepathically. And so you have a whole other genre of people, So,
you got the blood, and you got the blood. They think they're flesh and blood. Other ones think there's, and then there's you got to be open minded. It could be flesh and blood. It could have a little mixture of paranormal and interdimensional.
Interdimensional. Yeah, I'll go with that.
Yeah, so. I mean, it's definitely possible. Like you were saying in the beginning about some people who see a Bigfoot, see orbs or a UFO. So, again, until you sit down and can talk to one, you don't know what their purpose is. Are their purpose here just to protect the land? I mean, sometimes I wonder if the UFOs, if they're not, if those creatures here are just not here to protect us, as to, make sure. And again, I've said this on numerous podcasts. I feel like sometimes we might just be the ants in an ant farm, and if they shake it, we're dead, or they're just looking at it from the outside as to like what's going on. Because, I mean, yeah.
But if the Space Brothers are just watching us, I mean, man, they got to see us as a very self-destructive group of people. We're at war with each other. We're desecrating the environment. I mean, that's a fact. I mean, human beings, we're really we need some help. So, anyway, the other book was Paranormal Apocalypse. Is that how it ends? And I was just with that. I just wanted to go and take a look at end times, look at the apocalypse, and talk about how does it end? What does it look like? And what I did was I put together H.P. Lovecraft's famous quote that fear is one of the most basic emotions of man, but fear of the unknown is the most powerful. And so I talk about that fear of the unknown, and the world's going to end at some point, but we don't know how or when. And I look at some of those possibilities in my book. So that's been, we're having some fun with that book as far as, getting some nice reviews and all that. So, so that's great. So, anyway.
I know we're at a little over an hour. I want to respect your time. We can talk all day. I'm looking forward to seeing you again in person. We can talk. Do you have another book or anything on the horizon? Any events that you're going to be at? People, whether you're in Florida or in the Pennsylvania area?
Well, I'm going to be coming back to Pennsylvania. I got to be back April 26th. I've been invited to the Back Mountain Women's Auxiliary group, and they have these programs, the annual programs where they go and try to raise funds for the library, the Back Mountain Library. But anyway, I'm going to be their guest speaker, and I suggested that they bring in Shadow Steel. Shadow Steel was the Rusty Fender. He was the guy with KRZ, Saturday Night at the Oldies, does all this stuff. But his real name is Dale. He works for NASA. And the last thing he was doing was they had a probe to Venus. They had something like 45 seconds, I think, to get this sucker from the rocket down to the planet, something like that. But anyway, I did a presentation in Hazleton at the library, and Shadow happened to be there. So he came up, and he's a real blabbermouth. I mean, he's worse than me. And he gives this long-winded introduction of Maxim W. Furek, and then finally, I'm thinking, man, this is a hard act to follow because he's good. So anyway, he gets off the stage and I come up, but it was a really good thing. So I talked to those people in Back Mountain to talk about them about inviting Shadow to the thing and let him just bring me on and we'll do the same thing. But it was really a lot of fun. So, but Shadow Steel is one of Northeastern Pennsylvania's, I think, legendary celebrities. He's a great guy. He's done a whole lot, and I mean, he's a rocket scientist. So, anyway, so that's that. And then, of course, I'm looking forward to the Bigfoot Expo in Selinsgrove, and that is August the 15th.
Yes, the Central PA Bigfoot and Cryptid Festival. It'll be our 4th year, so it's only growing. I mean.
Oh, and I'll tell you this. I mean, you may not know how it's growing, but I was down at the Ocala, Florida Bigfoot Expo, and sold a ton of books and met a ton of people and people that heard of me on podcasts. But that had thousands of people. I think yours in Selinsgrove last year had a lot more. So I'm so glad that you brought the circus to town. And I mean, finally, we got a lot of good things happening in the area. So, I mean, again, thanks for doing that. Keep it going.
Yeah, we sparked another one. There's in New Columbia, I think I forget, it's in September. There's another bluegrass and Bigfoot festival. We couldn't attend it last year because Gwen was speaking at Westminster, South Carolina.
Yeah.
But the person reached out to her this year about coming to be a speaker and so forth. So she'll be there. I think that's kind of cool that, there was nothing. Gwen, and I'm not taking the credit. Gwen started it. I was just the guy who goes, when she goes, "What do you think?" And I'm like, "Yeah, let's do it." I'm like, whatever. Let's give it a try. But
yeah, I think it came together because it was publicized, it was organized, and there was a need for it.
That's another, where we appreciate your support, and she still uses your press release. She'll just modify the date.
Oh yeah,
and she sends it out. So yeah, we appreciate that. I mean but yeah, definitely. I know she started the job at the mall as a leasing and special events manager, but after the Wednesday after our event last year, and I think like a week or so after, the mall has I want to say accounting system, not a tracking, because it doesn't. I don't want people to freak out like the mall's tracking. It counts you, so it counts your cell phone. If Gwen, who goes to the mall every day, won't get counted, but like if you come to the mall, it'll recognize it counts based on your cell phone. It counts that like you're a new person to the mall, and then it also counts like how long you've been there. Mm-hmm. So for our event, there was 14,000 people that came into the mall that day, and the average length of stay was 90 minutes. It averages out your stay. Now, yes, we've heard it all after, like, "Oh, you didn't bring that many people in," and people are like, "Oh, that's just an average day at the mall." I'm like, what mall in this, if Shamokin and Mount in this area, what mall is bringing in 14,000 people on a weekend? No one. I mean, you got the Bloomsburg Mall that is going out. You had the Lycoming Mall that shut down. They're not bringing in anybody. Now, yes, Boscov's had their back to school sale, because I heard that too from some of the vendors. Oh, a lot of people were buying Bath and Body Work in that Boscov store, and it's like, okay, but yet, there's people that are into paranormal and cryptids that are going to specifically show up for this event, and then you're going to get the people that go, "Wow, what's this?" Mm-hmm. The takeaway from it, whether you were there for the cryptid or you were just there to shop the Boscov store, which is the big anchor, only anchor at the mall, was there was over 100 vendors at our event last year, and there was like 10 food trucks. So like that blows my mind, because Gwen just had a event this weekend. I think they had like under 20 vendors, just to put it into perspective. 20 vendors for that, but we had well over 100 vendors for our cryptid.
Yeah. So. Well, awesome. Yeah, you guys are doing a wonderful job. So keep it going, and
we'll do it as long as we can, as long as we get the support. Again, we're always looking for sponsors there. If you have if you're in the area, you want to be a sponsor. I mean, I think it's again, I don't think we're up in it, but it's like bare minimum 250, 500, 750. You can have a table. You can bring some product. If you're a car dealer, whatever dealer, or anybody, you campers, stuff like that. Email me. I mean, we're always looking for sponsors. It's a small price to pay. I mean, you'll get Maxim could attest. I mean, Gwen goes, "I'm going to use this balls to the walls with like promotion." It's like, so not only our event, but our sponsors, our vendors. She is constantly starting like probably this month through August. It's going to be like, that's going to be her focus. And, so you could bring, if you're a car dealer, want to bring a car, you're a camper dealer, you're whatever, motorcycle dealer, anything, we're not trying to ask for thousands of dollars. I mean, now if anybody wants to give us 1,000 or more, we'll be more than happy to take your money, because we want to, we don't make a profit. That's another thing too. Oh, we're in it for the money. No, we have the last 3 years, we had enough to pay the bills that we're not going. I don't have to do a second mortgage on the house. Mm-hmm. That's all we're asking for. So like, we asked for the sponsors because last year we had to pay people. This year we're trying not to have so many. I think we have maybe 1, maybe 2 people we have to pay. But last year we had like 4 or 5, and I damn near shit my pants, because I'm like, how are we gonna?
Yeah, some good ringers though. Yeah, some really good
but it worked. Yeah, I mean, I know RPG wants to come back. We got to check our, again, hopefully get some sponsors to to bring art because he's funny. He's a good guy. He's knowledgeable. Yeah.
Wait, and he has an article or two in the.
Yes, he has the he has the bariatric article in the.
I know, that was good. Yeah, that was extensive. That was like scientific stuff. That was.
Oh yeah,
I looked over. I didn't read it, but I'm going to read that. But I mean, there was a lot of stuff there. So.
Oh, it was good. I remember after where Gwen and I were driving, she's like, "I got RPG's article. You want to? Should I read it to you?" And I'm just driving down the road, and mind-boggling that, like, using caves and stuff, and it's like, huh. And what comes to mind when we were reading this was Centralia. You know, Centralia would be a perfect area for these because it's going to be cool in the summer, hot in the winter with that fire. Who knows what kind of underground cavern. And of course, with the strip mining and the mining out there, the abandoned mines, who knows? I mean, it could definitely be a portal. So
that's what I think. Yeah.
So
very good. Well, thank you.
Before we do go, I want to. We did a lot of talking about us and our magazine. Thank you, but I mean, this was more about you. But I appreciate the time. Where can they buy the paranormal, the Schmerl haunting, any book that you wrote? What's the best way for folks? And I do say, reading his books, they're amazing. And I say that as a fan and friend. So where could they be picked up at? Amazon, I believe, is one.
Yeah, Amazon. Yeah, first of all, if you're in the Ceilings Grove area, you could pick up a copy of my book at the Cryptid Collective at the Ceilings Grove Mall. So that'd be a good place to start. And also, if you would want a autographed copy of any of my books, you could check me out at my website. It's www.maximfurek.com. And there's a way to go and just contact me there. And, we could hook you up with a signed copy or two. So the other thing, too, is if anybody does purchase any of my books, please be so kind as to leave a review on Amazon. I mean, it's the gold cup that we need, that we're looking for, and it's the holy grail. I mean, it helps with the algorithm. It's very important to us authors to get those reviews. So if you could do that, that'd be great. But anyway, I appreciate Mike being on your show, and hopefully your listeners heard something of interest and had a good time.
I know I did. I mean, very first one about Centralia and the Molly Maguire. I mean, it's just interesting because, like, and that's another thing too. The mafia, the Italian mafia, is well known because it's from Italy, but the Molly Maguires is a local crew. Like, it's an Irish, and it's local to the Locust Gap, the Centralia, the Ashland area where the ancient order of the Hibernians were. So I mean, and we talked about the prison, the jail in Jim Thorpe, but then one of the last Molly Maguires was Peter McManus, was hung in the Sunbury prison, the jail in downtown Sunbury. So that's supposed to be on it. I think too, it's like people just need to be open and report stuff that they see to people who want to whether it's paranormal or cryptid. I mean, there's no stigma in like, oh, I don't know what I saw. I mean, we'll try,
Well, one good thing about this community is you could talk about this stuff without being laughed at. I mean, we could talk about
and
people listen. And J. Allen Hynek was one of the ones. He was a doubter. He was a real skeptic, but he came around. He said, you know what? We've been disrespectful to these witnesses. We say that they're just kooks or they're needy or they want attention. He said, no, we got to take down their story and find out what they saw, what they heard. We need to investigate that as scientists, not as skeptics. So
absolutely.
He had his epiphany. So he was great for the whole field of ufology. So
I think it just goes back to extending that little bit of respect and hey, I'll listen to your story until you tell the story and it's told 7 different ways. Then I'll be like, wait a minute, did you say this the last time? Or so forth. But I believe it. All right, Maxim, I will shut us out. If everybody, you liked what you see, I'm going to say subscribe to the CARC, which is over here. Hit the like and share button. Check out Maxim's website. Check out the Got Knockers website, the Facebook page as well, Got Knockers. Strange Knocks magazine has one. StrangeKnocks.com. If you're in the Shamokin, Mount Carmel, I mean, hell, we've had people from Maryland, we've had people from New York. So it's not, the nice thing about our area, we're about a 3-hour drive from the DC area to the New York area, maybe 3.5 hours from Pittsburgh, 4.5-ish from Cleveland area. Just to put it in perspective, we're an hour or a little north, central, northeast, west of Harrisburg. So if you're coming, you want to come to the Central PA Bigfoot Festival, you got, like I said, the people who might be picking up now, we have Knobles, free amusement. Bring your family. Check us out at the Selinsgrove. Drive over 25 minutes to Elysburg to Knobles. If you're into chocolate, you could make the trip from Selinsgrove down 11 and 15 to Hershey and check out Chocolate World, Hershey Park. Again, this is all just me saying, hey, come to our festival. But then you can make a weekend out of it. You can make whatever you like. I mean, there's and Maxim will be there. I believe he said he's looking forward to it. So come check him out.
Yeah.
So,
very good. Okay.
Right.
Well, thanks so much. Again, my best, and we'll keep in touch. Okay.
We will. Thank you. Good night, everybody.
This has been a